Kevin Day, welcome to WRTI. What a pleasure to have you in our performance studio at the piano.
Yes.
Yeah, let's talk about the opera, because this is like, it is just bursting with ideas.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating. I mean, I have heard excerpts, sort of digital excerpts, but it's enough for me to feel like I have a little bit of a grasp of this world. It really is a world, right?
Yeah.
So first of all, let's talk about, Lalovavi.
Yes.
What's the origin of the story and your collaboration? How did it come about?
Absolutely. This was not initially the first idea we had when approached with this commission, but through working with Cincinnati Opera, we kind of landed on this, and we wanted to tell a futuristic story that is an epic adventure, right, from the very beginning of the opera to the very end. And so this narrative was mostly crafted by Tifara Brown, our librettist, and me and Camille kind of helped here and there whenever she needed it. But she wrote an incredible story about a young heroine named Persephone, who was taken from her home as a child in this great war. This is after kind of the world has ended, and there's these two warring societies that remain.
So this is 400 years.
This is 400 years into the future.
Okay.
Yes, and so Persephone is taken from her home, and she's brought up into this dystopian society called Atlas, and so she's raised up as kind of like the princess under this like ruler of Atlas named Titan. And so she always notices that something is different about her, right? And is different about her life, right? And as she grows older, she gets more signs and dreams that this is not who you really are, right? And so we find out towards the end of Act 1 that Titan wants to use Persephone because she, within her blood, contains this gene for immortality. And so he wants to hold her prisoner, keep her. And so with the help of people who do not want to see that happen, who want to bring down Atlas and Titan, they help her escape. And so through that, she goes on this epic journey into this wilderness of the world that's 400 years in the future, comes across some very interesting characters, creatures, and is confronted with her past. And the whole point of the opera is for her to discover who she is, to grow into that, and to lead the people to victory.
Well, you say there's no reference, but it's interesting to me because Persephone, of course, is a very intentional name for your heroine.
Yes.
And Persephone in Greek mythology is, she's married to Hades. She spends most of her time in the underworld. Mm-hmm. These are not arbitrary character names.
There's reasons why she picked those names for sure. And part of what we discover is the journey of the opera will reveal Persephone's true name, because that's just the names that she receives. That's not who she actually is. And so that's part of the mystery of all this, is who is she? And so we do get that answer at the end.
We don't have as many examples in the operatic space for Afrofuturism, but we have a lot of examples in the cinematic space.
Absolutely.
And so I wondered, as you're approaching this as a composer, do you think in cinematic terms in some way? Like, is that part of your...
In some ways, yes, and I think that's what's been interesting about this process is I had an idea for what I wanted the music to sound like when we were first beginning this concept, but as I've gotten more of the libretto, as I've been working with it, my sound concept has changed, and it's changing into a language that I was not anticipating, and I think that's what's been really interesting about it is. It's leaning more into the cinematic. It's also leaning more into maybe even like neo-romantic in a few places, a little bit of contemporary influence here. It's kind of it's venturing into some very interesting places based on what's happening with the narrative of the opera. There's a scariness to it. There's a terrifyingness of it because of what's going on. It begins with this pattern that comes back in Act 3 as well, but this very simple pattern. Let's see, it's one up here. And then it does it again. And so that's what you first hear in the opera is like, okay, what is this, right? And then it leads into this pattern, right, that kind of sets up one of the rhythmic ideas, and it's a repeated pattern. Right, and so that's what you hear once we get into the big, like, okay, this war is happening. We have this dream of what's happening with Persephone. We see why she is taken, right, and so that beginning kind of sounds like this. Right, so very dissonant kind of harmonies until we get kind of a break from it with this pattern. Right, so those are the motives that I'm beginning to set up with this process, and so. As you heard, I mean, this opening is a very big chorus moment, right? The chorus is going to sing full volume. We get to see a glimpse of Niamara, her mother, who has a very important aria in Act 2, and so that's what's kind of going through my head there. Niamara's aria in Act 2, which we're really excited about, and is something that is very emotional, but also very speaks to the love part of Lalovavi, right? Lalovavi is the Tut word for love, and Niamara's aria is about her missing Persephone and wanting her to come home, longing for her daughter to be reunited with her. And so the chords I use for that come from jazz harmony. I'm using chords like this. Right. So all this is going through my head, and so that's why I feel with this opera, it's a combination of all of my musical training, all of my life experiences in this music. There's the jazz elements, there's the classical, there's all the things that kind of make me who I am, and so it's been coming out in this opera in very different ways.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But, as I think about African-American composers working in an operatic space, there is a long history of rejection, institutional resistance. Mm-hmm. And then there's also a counter narrative of these visionary people who just manage to do things on their own terms. I'd love to sort of parse that a bit, the balance between this kind of acceptance and celebration, and like whatever stubborn resistance or, issues of translation or issues of receptivity you may have encountered.
Sure. I mean, the goal with this whole project is to tell these stories in the way that the creators want to tell them, and that's what I'm grateful for with Cincinnati Opera, is because they have been very receptive to our ideas, and they have been very receptive to, this is the direction we want to go. How can we make this happen, right? Because no matter what I do musically, if the narrative doesn't make sense, then it's not going to work. And so they've been very good about being receptive to that and have worked well with our team. We're hoping it speaks to the human experience. It speaks to our experience as well, and leaning more into Black joy rather than Black trauma. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, Kevin, thank you so much for sharing your time with us, sharing your music with us. Yeah. I'm very excited to behold Lalovavi and to see what form it takes and how it enters the world. I mean, I'm sure that there's going to be a really a vibrant response to this story and to this musical expression.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait, and it's been an honor to be here with you all as well. So I appreciate the invitation.
Thanks again.